Welcome back to the Telosive Tech Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Nick with us this week. Randy's still out. Hopefully
I'm not supposed
we'll
to be
see
here.
him soon.
Why am I here?
I don't know why you're
This
here,
isn't
Mike.
the EV podcast.
Get the heck- We have to talk about your
This
Crippling
terrible
depression.
magic mouse.
I love the Magic Mouse, and I've been using it a lot lately, actually.
I love the magic
Thank
mouse, but I
goodness.
hate its charging port.
We have
Trackpad is
I have lots
superior.
of updates for the podcast.
I do too.
I have both. I've got. The
I got more
trackpad here.
Starlink stuff.
Oh yeah, what did you get?
I finally got the Ethernet adapter for it that I've been waiting for a
Ethernet.
month to get.
Wow.
But we got it. I can now control my lights again. Before I couldn't. So
Yay.
now I can change the brightness whenever I want instead of having to plug it in where the plug-in is. But
You've been very stable. You haven't Starlinked since we've started FaceTime.
you cut a few trees. You have a updated Dish Make flat face. Apparently, you can have a decent connection to internet wherever you are.
I want to see you live stream off it. I want to see how it does. I'm curious.
Maybe I'll try to down. I don't know how well the iMac handles Kerbal Space Program because I tried before and it didn't do too well. But I'll try again, and maybe I'll try to stream some Kerbal Space Program, and I'll probably put it on the lowest settings possible. It'll look like garbage, but yeah, we'll see
That's fine.
how well of a connection it goes. Because
Starlink will compress it for you, so no need to worry. But Nick, how much of your iCloud storage are you using?
We'll get you that data in 7.32 seconds. Please wait.
okay, I'm using
we
all
are
mine,
using-
and I'm on the base.
We have
Which iCloud tier are you
we're
on, Mike?
still on 4
The
terabytes.
base.
I have who?
Me, I was quickly jabbing mine in while you were looking up yours in 7.421 seconds. Is that what you said?
So I don't remember the points, but it was definitely quick, whatever it was. I'm using 2.67 terabytes of my 4 terabytes, so I have 1.33 terabytes remaining.
That's right. You're on Apple One.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Expensive.
on Apple One. And Mike, you're on the free tier?
Yeah, and it's been full for a year now. I haven't been able to clear it out for a year, so
I'm now officially on the free tier.
Congratulations! You made it down to 5.
I've made the switch.
Wow.
No, I didn't. I just stopped paying for it and said, delete what's up there. I don't care.
all the precious memories.
It's
gone,
actually
reduced to atoms.
quite frustrating. I'll do a rant video on it later, but downgrading iCloud is quite frustrating, and I've probably spent hundreds of dollars on it for the past few years, and I was just kind of done with it because I have so much local storage now between my MacBook Pro, and I also have the iMac Pro back in my office. I'm using it again.
Out of retirement.
Why?
It's out of retirement. So for one, I put it in the other bedroom so that my wife could use it. Found out she doesn't really have much of a use for it. She'd rather do stuff on her phone or iPad anyway. So it wasn't getting much use in the bedroom, and I was also like having a hard time managing the chat and live streaming, and I wanted, obviously I've been in the market for an external monitor for a while, but now that universal control finally started working for me, like at first when I plugged it in, it wouldn't work. On the first day, it wasn't working. And then I come back in the second day, first try, I move the mouse to the left and it shows up on the iMac Pro right away. And I was just like,
Wow.
oh my God, it's not working. So there is no mouse connected to the iMac Pro directly, like via Bluetooth. There's just this mouse connected to my MacBook, and I'm controlling it entirely via universal control.
So it's a very
I can even put
overpowered
it to
external
sleep.
monitor now.
Yes, except it's not an external monitor per se because it's still running itself. I can't I kind of treat it like one, but I can't move windows between the two Macs. I just basically will watch YouTube or look at Discord or check the chat when I'm live streaming. I just put that on the big screen, and then I do all of my video editing on the little screen. the little MacBook display, the biggest display it's ever had. But when universal control works, it's marvelous. And it didn't work for a long time, but now that it's finally working, it's quite nice to have a big screen. Basically, I treat it like a TV. It's about what it gets used for, but I'm very happy that even when I put it to sleep, so I just have like the Magic Keyboard off to the side. When I want to unlock the Mac, even though it doesn't have a mouse connected to it, I just slap the keyboard and it unlocks via my watch.
Nice.
And then universal control extends to it, so
Nice.
it has no mouse directly attached, which is kind of funny.
Nice.
But I'm liking this new setup so far. It's a lot cheaper than a studio display, that's for sure.
Yeah. Sells for
So
less as well.
my desk doesn't have a second iMac, unfortunately. But what it does have is a bunch of iPods.
Oh,
How many iPods do you
that's
have?
right. I just threw all mine in the garbage this morning.
I do that all the time. Oh, okay, bye, Nick. I was thinking about how many iPods I've owned. I think I've just owned one iPod, and that was
Really?
I don't even know what generation. It was the squared off generation. I want to say it's a Nano, but it was like a squared off Nano.
Is it pretty small?
I'll have to look at which ones. But
Did the display have color?
yes, it had color.
Okay. Then it's probably a Nano. Was it more rectangular or square?
Rectangle. It was a rectangle. Ooh, you know what? I think it just.
Dude, you
found
might
it.
have
Maybe
had
it was the third gen.
my first Apple product.
It's the third gen.
Oh boy, Apple. Nick's got all his iPods out.
It's this one, right?
That's the
No.
third gen.
No.
Sorry, mine was more rectangular. Something.
So probably the fourth or fifth.
I'll put it
I'm
in the
gonna
chat
guess.
so you guys can see it. I think it was
Okay.
close to what I just sent in the.
That is the iPod
Oh.
Mini. That's the first or second
the
gen
Mini?
iPod Mini.
Ah,
Wow.
I know this because for the past week, I've spent all of my time looking back at nostalgic Steve Jobs iPod introduction videos and old iPad and iPhone Steve Jobs keynotes. And I'm just sitting there crying, wishing that I could relive the nostalgia days when the iPod Touch 4th gen was the coolest thing around.
That was my first iOS device. Why? Why are you sad, Nick? Fight me.
Okay.
Fight me.
Number one, okay? Freaking nostalgia, Drew. Freaking nostalgia, bro. It's all...
The nostalgia's still there. You still have your iPods.
I
Tim's
know.
not grabbing
When
them.
was the last time you touched those?
0.0 seconds ago.
That was not. That was touching in a very intimate way.
That was very, very much touching in an intimate way.
That
Actually,
had so much dust on it.
Actually, there's no dust. Lots of finger oils from the last time I played with it, which was
Ooh,
recent.
ugh. Gross. How do you know it's the iPod Mini and not the Nano second gen?
Yeah. Hold on. What the hell?
Or it could be the
I'm-
first gen.
Hold on. I'm updating.
You're updating them right now as
Well,
we're podcasting.
No. Well, I don't know if you guys can see the. Damn.
You can still sync music on them if you open the music app.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So the
Monterey can do that.
Yeah, Monterey and the Finder. Yep, still has the whole. This is
You
the
have
most
to
useful
specifically open
cord
music, though.
ever. By the way, USB-A on one side, 3.5 jack on the other. Also, this was.
Did you
probably,
have a shuffle?
This was probably my favorite iPod that I've ever.
Oh!
owned. The third.
I
gen.
lost
that a-
mine.
Is that a pill?
It is basically a
that?
pill. It's the size of a tie clip, and it held 4 gigabytes of music. There was like 1,000 songs, and you had to navigate
It
it.
charged via the headphone
There's
jack.
with the headphone jack and like the little clicky button thing. Back when these things had wires. So anyway, the main thing here is it's just we knew it was coming, and I'm not mad at Apple for killing the iPod Touch. And to be honest, yes,
Your text messages say otherwise
yeah, I
this
know.
week.
I said a few bad words and a few angry gifs, but
Gifts.
I don't know how to describe it. I was talking with Scott the other day, and we were both lamenting the fact that all the iPods are dead. But it's just it's the fact that like I guess I'm grown up now because like it's a bit of like the morning childhood feeling where it's like I distinctly remember drooling over my friend's 5th gen iPod Nano with the little itsy bitsy 720p VGA quality camera that couldn't even take stills photos and the little dumb
Nope.
gyroscope game with the little ball. Like I remember like this thing
Oh yeah.
was the coolest thing that like a 10 or 12-year-old could have. Like
Yes.
seriously, this was it.
That was the
for
best
me.
Christmas ever. I remember the Christmas day I got to unbox
I never
the
got to
iPod I
unbox
bought.
one of those. It
Oh,
was
really?
years until I got, and these are all like, I had these much older than most people did, but I still wanted them back in the day, and it was, it's so thin and it feels so right, and it just has Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs written all over them. Like all of these old classic iPod products are just classic Apple design. Like the 3rd gen Nano,
They're tiny.
it's so tiny, it's so small, but yet aesthetically pleasing and symmetrical still. And these all still work. Like all of my devices here still work. Only, I have old 4s, and I from once in a while I boot them up and I play around with them. But probably the most useful one was this 7th gen iPod Nano. And
Oh,
to this
yeah.
day, I really wish there's an 8th gen iPod Nano because there's like 2 things that I change, and I probably would still be using it today. It doesn't support Apple
Really?
Music. It would be nice if you could sync Apple Music to it. And the what was the other thing? There were 2. I remember.
How could they
reviewed
do
this.
that though? Because that needs an online
Yeah,
connection,
I mean, you
right?
could like sync like 16 gigs or 4 gigs or whatever of music, just same as you getting an iPod Touch, syncing Apple Music, downloading 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes of music, and then taking it offline and putting it in airplane mode, and then deleting your Apple Music subscription. I mean, you can do that.
Well, it doesn't. I don't think it. Wow, I haven't thought about that.
You can do that.
Does it have some kind of thing built into the software that says deactivate this song if the device hasn't had an internet connection for more than a month or something?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know.
That's an interesting
But-
hack.
But all that to say, like,
Download
I-
all of the Apple Music.
I feel like they should have been able to, if it could have Apple Music, that would be awesome. And, maybe a less skeuomorphic OS would be kind of nice. But anyway, I don't know. Crap ton of nostalgia has been happening this week. And it's just been kind of fun to relive all of my childhood memories, like the 4th gen iPod Touch. Like, that was a beautiful, beautiful design back in 2010. And just watching Steve Jobs introduce these products, like they're the best thing ever. And he's just like, and this has 512 megabytes of flash storage. It can hold up to 200 songs.
I don't even
everyone's
have
like,
200 songs.
Yeah, it's just very nostalgia for me. And the iPod Touch 5th gen was, I distinctly remember I got that one after I killed my iPad mini by trying to replace the screen. And that was my second
never owned
iOS
that one.
device. I have very fond memories of that. It's so thin, that 5th gen iPod Touch, and even like the current
Yeah, it
gen.
was.
It was so thin. And, back in the day, we didn't know what processing power was like, so it was all just perfectly fine performance-wise. But yeah, it's just so sad. I'm an adult now. Like this whole week has been me coming to the realization that what I wanted over when I was a child is now like officially vintage, like officially.
Think of all the iPods that have been pulled out, used, licked in the past week just because of the discontinuation. Like if they would have kept selling the iPod Touch for another year, all of our iPods would have stayed in storage. We wouldn't have thought anything about it. They would have just stayed there. But just because they announced, actually, while supplies last, everyone goes, no, we can't have that. I was like, that. I'll have an even hotter take. 7th gen iPod Touch didn't need to exist. They could have killed it 3 years ago. I don't think it would have made a difference. It's been dated. It was confusing when they last introduced it. I remember I wasn't even in this house. It was like
2019.
years ago. They were like, we're putting the A10 chip in an iPod, and I was like, what? Why? Like it's so unnecessary when you can get iPhones for cheaper now that are better. And I don't know what the whole reasoning was behind that last refresh, but I'm curious why you guys think they chose this week of all weeks.
Wasn't it the
Like what?
anniversary?
No,
No,
this
it
is
was
just
last
before
October.
Dub. So here's my prediction. I had to think about that a little bit. Like the reason why they chose
Okay.
this week out of all the weeks, Dub's happening pretty quick here, and they wanted to
Yeah.
give people enough time to mourn it, like we're doing right now. I think they sent it off in a decently way possible. It didn't just disappear. They gave you a little bit of warning if you really wanted one. You know, it was like while supplies last for a couple days. And they had a really nice press release that was like, we really honor the iPod, and you know,
The music lives on.
the music lives on, and I appreciate that. So I appreciate how they did that, but I think also they don't want this headline to drag on for many weeks. So obviously, as soon as Dub happens and the hype leading up to that, we're all going to forget about this in just a matter of weeks here. So they want it to have
All
its
those
time.
iPods are going back in the box.
Exactly. It's going to have
Freshly
its
licked,
time
but back
for
in the
a few
box.
weeks. And then, like Toy Story, we're going to send them back up to the attic for Lord knows when. So,
Hey,
Unfortunately, unlike Toy Story, we can't hand them off to another generation because the other generation would be like, "This is stupid."
This is a headphone jack and a USB-A port. Two things that I
Where's
don't
the
own.
AirPod?
Oh, yeah.
where's the AirPod?
Where's the AirPod?
All the kids are using iPhone 13 Pros now, even the toddlers.
Yep.
They're like, "I want the red one. I want graphite.
Yeah, I
Sierra blue."
I believe I had the Nano, but I think it was the
First gen,
first gen.
by the picture you sent.
Yeah, it was a black first gen. And then I also got, I think I got the second gen iPod Touch. I'm looking at the guide that they have on support.
Identify your iPod model. Oof.
The iPod Mini didn't have a color display.
Yeah.
It was
Man,
the
the
e-ink display.
The 6th gen
back then.
iPod Nano. Oh,
I pulled mine out yesterday.
the 6th gen. Does it still
playing
work?
with it.
Does it still turn on?
Yeah. Yep. It works flawlessly. Everything other than I jumped in a river with it on at one point because it was my watch.
Oh,
I used it as a watch.
The original
So,
Apple Watch.
It had 18 watch faces, all of which were pretty cool. We went through them on stream, and it had a photos app, so you could look at pictures on the 1-inch display. And I listened to my music. I wore it in high school. It had a headphone jack, and I plugged my headphones in, and I had a cable going from my wrist to my ears, and I would choose the music right. It didn't have raise to wake, and it didn't have tap to wake. So every time I wanted to check the time, I had to press the power button on the side and be like, "What time is it?" And there was no vibration motor. There was no notification delivery. It was literally just a watch that played music to my headphones. And I thought that was cool because it was made by Apple, and I was a sheep, and I am a sheep.
I mean, it probably
so-
felt like James Bond too, being able to like
Yeah.
bring up like your watch and then be able to listen
I
to
got
music or whatever.
comments. There were people that were like, "What is that? What are you doing?" And I was like, "It's my iWatch."
iWatch.
That was before the Apple Watch was a thing, so there was nothing really like it at the time. But I remember Steve Jobs unveiling it on stage. I watched it live.
Wow. Wow.
I called home sick that day when the event was going on, and I was in my childhood home on the office with the big screen 24-inch iMac at the time. That was like the biggest one, and I played it, and I was like, "Whoa! They put a screen on the shuffle," because that's what the 6th gen Nano looked like. And my sister had the 5th gen with the camera, and I was using it yesterday. I was like recording videos with it, and it's just amazing how they still work after all this time. It's pretty mind-boggling, and they were just so simple. They didn't have much to them, so there wasn't much to go wrong. And you plug them in, and they still show up, and they carry files. And even the iPod Classic I had.
Oh, wow.
The spinning hard drive, not flash storage. You can hear it.
What a
I like fired it up and held it up to my ear, and it's like, you can hear it spinning on the inside. It's like, oh my god.
I wonder how long that'll last.
I'm surprised it still works in 2022. That thing has seen better days, and it's been dropped. You can tell. I got it from a friend in high school that didn't want it anymore. He was like, "Hey, you like Apple stuff? Just have this." So I am shocked how I mean the artwork is incredibly slow. When you go to cover flow and you scroll, it doesn't like load the artwork. It's just like the default music icon, and you have to wait like 30 seconds, and then the album artwork
Ooh.
shows up. It's like the storage is very slow, but I can reminisce and I can be nostalgic and still admit that they did not need to be selling these for the past 3 years.
Yep.
Like there was not a market.
I think they found
have
that out.
no clue. Yeah. I would like to know what was different about the iPod market in 2019 versus now. Or do you think it's a chip shortage thing?
I think just lack of interest, and also, yeah, why are we wasting materials on this when we could be devoting it towards an SE that could use a little bit more cheaper material like this or something else? Yeah, I think it just seemed logical from at least the back end of no one's buying these anymore. Our music ecosystem has basically gone digital and is in everything. The music has gone on. We don't need a dedicated device. And like you've said many times before, Drew, you don't need to get a kid an iPod to kind of make them feel like, oh, I've got something that's like my mom's phone, but it just plays music and I can FaceTime and all that. Like you could just get them an old SE1 or SE2 and then block certain features on it or whatever. Or just get them a watch or something.
Super software lock it.
Yeah. So
turn it into a focus mode. That's what I don't get about that. Like, I want distraction-free music. I want a device that plays music and doesn't get notifications or calls and stuff. It's a focus mode.
Always.
Music. Mute. Everything.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't get
delete all the apps.
Yeah.
Disable everything
but
on
it
the
does
background
one
too.
thing. It only does one thing. That's why it's cool.
I miss the iPod, guys.
It's right there.
I'm looking at them. I'm looking at the old music that I have synced to it, and I'm just like, oh, all of the
I need to find my Nano and do that. I don't know where it is. Again, like
all these
have wired
playlists
headphones
that never made it onto Apple Music for me that are like from like I don't know which computer. I don't want to sync it because that'll wipe everything and like erase all my. But like, man, I had some.
Let the past die. Kill it.
I miss it, guys.
Kill it. I just wonder if iPod Touch sales were higher in 2019 to justify that refresh.
No, I think
Maybe
in
it's just an
2019
attempt
they're
to
like,
get more
let's
money.
make the best iPod we can, and it's going to be the last iPod. And they're like, okay, we'll stick an A10 chip in it, you know. But I think the reason
do nothing else.
Well, I think you brought up a good point, Drew. Like, I think one of the reasons why they probably killed it so soon, like at this point, is because in Dub they're not going to be supporting the 4-inch display going forward.
Oh, that's what
And
you
so,
think it is.
you
They're
know.
killing off the software support.
Exactly.
for
So
it.
they don't want to have to redraw everything in 4-inch display form factors.
So should they call it iPhone OS at that point?
RIP iOS.
iOS is that'll make a great. See, I don't clickbait. If I did, I would make the best clickbait possible. I would milk the most clickable title out of every slight loose report. Apple is killing iOS at their next event. And then you watch the video. So they're rebranding it to iPhone OS because there's no iPods being supported anymore. Done.
Yeah.
guys, I have a whole eBay cart full of like $400 worth of old Apple products that I kind of want.
Oh, jeez.
And I have
What's on the list?
What's on the list?
Let's
All
hear
right,
it.
let's see if my eBay
Is it all of
cart's
them?
synced. No, not all of them.
Every iPod. You call yourself an Apple sheep.
So the
Name every iPod.
4th gen
iPod.
iPod. I can do
Done.
that if you'd like. The fourth
Okay.
the 4th gen iPod Touch is definitely on the list for me. It doesn't look like the. Is that it? Nope. I don't have the cart didn't save, but it was the 6th gen iPod Nano, 4th gen iPod Touch, and there's one other one. There were 3. Oh, iPad Mini. It was a slate gray iPad Mini. I love that slate gray color. I have yet to find a dark.
I missed that
I
color.
really do. Like, back right when they switched to iOS 7, it was like, oh, that's the old color. That slate gray is so old. The space gray is so new and fresh. But we've had space gray for like a decade now. And it's like, I miss the slate gray. Like, the slate gray is nice, like dark blue, like a very Anyway, that was my first Apple device ever, was the iPad Mini in slate gray. And then, man.
Wow.
Guys.
I'm curious if you could name every iPod.
Okay, so you have
on the same line as Nick. I did have a 7th gen iPod Touch in my cart, thinking, is it worth it?
Yeah.
I would have gone through without.
So my
consulting
Best
with the
Buy
wife
still
and all
has
that,
them in
but
stock. If I wanted a black or white one, there's still
Yeah.
some just a couple miles away from me. And it's
Again,
like,
the same thought also popped into my mind. I'm like, do I actually need this? Like, I'm just buying it for nostalgia's sake, thinking, yeah, I'll stuff it away with the other iPod, and then I'll bring it out whenever like someone's talking about iPods. I'm like, oh look, I've got 3 different ones or whatever. If I can find the other 2, but it's not going to be used.
The first generation iPod looks pretty bad in my opinion.
First
Just looking
iPod,
at the
well,
like
it's
those
old, dude.
OG scroll wheel from 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that is not look. It probably looked clean relative to the year, like compared to everything else in 2001. But now it's like very button heavy.
Yep. No, they hadn't figured out the way to do the dipping, and it was actually a physically moving wheel. It wasn't a touch wheel.
Right.
Because I think the
Right,
next
it
one that they
wasn't like a
introduced
touch
was the
surface.
touch wheel in 2002. Yeah, July 2002.
I love that they were boasting about. It was like a feature to get pictures. It was like
The iPod Photo.
you can put photos and look at it on a 1-inch display. It's like, let me scroll through some of my favorite pictures.
In the craziest aspect ratio.
Oh my god!
It made more sense with the iPod Classic or a little bit bigger screens. But even so, it's still small.
What's your favorite
Yeah.
color iPods? Like every generation of iPod had slightly different colors. Like what was your favorite hue and color?
I loved the iPod Nano. I think they're the same. 4th and 5th gen had a red option that was super dark, very very saturated red, which is my favorite color.
I see that.
So I, for some reason, didn't buy that one. Maybe they didn't have it in stock. I don't have one, but I've seen them in person a few times, and I thought they looked great. Other than I remember. I didn't like the white click wheel. I bought the silver or black iPods because they had the black click wheel, and I thought that looked better. And I still live by that philosophy today.
White bezels, white click wheels. No.
There was an old sound I just heard.
Yep, my OG iPhone just powered back up. Still
Wow.
works.
That thing looks
You know, I
like
saw
a
some-
dinosaur.
Yeah, it does. I saw some camera tests of the original. Uh-oh. Nick just looked at my stock portfolio.
True.
Oh, oh my
True with
god.
the face mask?
It's me with a face mask on from like 2017, I think.
It doesn't say the date.
Well,
funny.
I know that I remember that office. It must have been 2017.
Oh my gosh, this is funny. Oh my gosh.
That's right. You sent that. You
think
sent
I
that to me
did.
briefly,
Oh
didn't
my
you?
gosh.
So I took a picture with me with a face mask on and then sent it back. Thanks, Nick. Just airdrop that. Oh wait.
Oh
you
wait.
can't.
Oh wait.
Dang.
Jeez.
What was your guys' favorite color iPod hue?
Ooh. Mike, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was looking through all of them because whenever I bought one, it was always black. Kind of the same idea with Drew. Like, it looks good in black with the black
come in black.
scroll wheel. Like, it looked. I was gonna put a case on it anyways. With the Nano, I put a cool red and black case on the black Nano, and then on the iTouch, whatever it is, the iPod Touch.
Was it ever called that? I know everybody
iTouch?
called it that.
Yeah, the iTouch.
don't know.
Not officially by Apple, but everyone called it the iTouch.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
But even
It was
with
never
the
legally
iPod
called
Touch,
the iTouch.
I also got the black version. But
Uh-huh.
if I were to go back and get a certain color, if I stayed with the Nanos, because the Nanos is probably what I'd go for. I'd go for like the green or the blue.
Nice.
Those are pretty
Of
cool.
which-
Like the
which
second
generation?
generation.
Second gen.
The second
Yeah.
generation. Well, even
Yep.
the 4th and 5th generation. Yeah, I guess the green changes from the 4th to 5th for the Nano, but
Yep.
the Emerald's cool, but the Lime is neat.
I thought you were gonna say Compass Yellow to match your
It's not Rivian.
eventual Rivian.
It's not even close to Compass Yellow. Nothing comes close to that Compass Yellow. It's like a
I think
Mustang.
the 5th gen yellow is pretty close of the Nano.
Kinda, yeah. It needs a little bit more muting,
It's there.
but yeah. No, I'd probably go for the green. But I chose the black for a reason. I guess sometime in my youth. But I don't know. What about you, Nick? Would you deviate from what you
green.
got originally?
It's the green. For me, it's the 3rd gen iPod Shuffle green. And it's the same hue as the one you just mentioned, the 2nd gen iPod Nano green.
It's close to like a seafoam almost, or a teal.
It's like a really vibrant electric green. I missed
Maybe I'm
that
looking at the
color.
wrong one. iPod Shuffle 3rd gen? Oh.
iPod
okay.
Shuffle 3rd gen green.
It
Also,
is like
the
a
pink and the
lime.
blues were very they're
emerald
very
lime.
lime, very very saturated, very bright colors, and man, those were some nostalgia there because it's just like
This is a throwback. It's unlocking so many memories. I remember visualizing
Unlocking.
when I was a kid, sliding to unlock memory. Yeah, I remember visualizing an ad. I thought maybe Apple will unveil the new iPod Nano by like lining up all the 3rd gen Nanos and treating them like dominoes, and they like all knock over, and then when they reach the last one, it slides out the next gen Nano and they show it off. And I was like, I bet that's what the commercial will be. And I was thinking like an Apple sheep from a young age. This is deep rooted in family history. It's quite scary, to be honest. But yeah,
It's an end
I
of an
can't
era.
think of another product category that Apple's had around for this long that they've killed off. Can you think of another one?
I mean, like the classic Macintosh probably went from what mid 80s to 2000. Like
Does that count? What is it called? Just Macintosh?
well, like the
Macintosh?
beige boxes. I don't know what the
The
brand.
beige boxes.
The beige.
I
boxes.
guess they changed it to iMac, but then they still had Power Macs and eMacs. I still consider it the Mac line, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still branches of Mac category, but iPod was kind of its own thing, you know? For many years it was separate from the iPhone. It was its own detached thing, and now it's officially killed off, and it's just technology living in iPhones from here on out, I suppose. But
I think iPhone's
Yeah,
the closest, in my opinion.
pretty much.
Very
Maybe the
similar
Apple
design.
Watch.
Well,
iPod Nano kind of morphed into the watch market.
Well, everything kind of morphed out of the iPod lineup. You had
Yep.
the iPod Touch basically turned into the iPhone. You had
I think the phone was first.
was it? Oh,
Yeah, it was.
Well, then it reflected it, I guess.
They were at kind of the same time. I think it says the first iPod Touch was 07. So they were like, let's make a phone. And then afterwards they were like, well, we can just take out the phone stuff and call it an iPod too if we want.
But then you had the shuffle or whatever with the screen turn into the watch. You had the shuffles without the screen. Kind of what they are today is the HomePods with the, was it like $5 a month subscription or whatever for music?
Oh, yeah. Apple Music Voice
Yeah.
now.
So I think that headline was a really good title, that the music lives on, because there's still
Right.
products in the lineup that reflect what the iPod was at any
Right.
given time. The shuffle has turned into that plan. The touch is basically an iPhone. The shuffle with the screen or whatever is now a watch. So it'll be
Yeah.
it still lives on. It still exists. It's a Nano. I keep on calling it the shuffle. It's a Nano.
It looks a lot like a shuffle. They basically just took the shuffle and stuffed the screen on it and called it the Nano.
Yeah, but
I like how they introduced the camera on the 5th gen Nano,
Yes.
and they were like, never mind. The very next year,
The
they
very
were
next
like,
year,
well,
they went very opposite
let's not do
from
that.
5 to 6.
They
5
did.
was like, look at all the stuff that we have in this package, and then 6 was
And
like,
it's like touchscreen.
Never mind. Touchscreens are cool.
Like, let's get rid of the click wheel, and it also doesn't need to be rectangular because then it's basically an iPod Touch but small. So let's go in a complete opposite direction, square. And Apple never actually sold a watch band for it, even though it had a clock app with 18 watch faces. They never sold a watch band. That was completely dependent on third-party accessory developers.
Steve did mention it, like during the introduction of the 6th Gen.
He
On stage,
did.
he
I
said,
remember.
and one of our board of director members is going to be using it as a watch. And I'm just like, wow.
That's the only Steve
Foretelling.
Jobs approved Apple Watch.
It is. It is the only one. Johnny Ive would
and it's
approve of
squared
the
off,
24
just
karat
like-
gold one, but
Just like the leaks. It's
The
got a
Nano
squared
has
off
no
you know what
edges.
the
craziest
OG? Hold
lineup.
on. You know what the OG iPhone had that modern iPads still don't have?
Did you know the
The watch
Wait.
has it.
A calculator.
Yeah, the watch
has a
has it.
calculator.
from 2007? It still has a calculator.
Did the Nano have a
Didn't-
calculator?
I was trying to remember. I don't.
let
think
me see.
That'd be a
so.
slap in the
Let me
face to
see.
the iPad group.
Let me see. It had a calendar and like contacts that you could sync.
And fitness.
You know what was interesting back then was you could listen to the radio via the headphones.
Yes,
So
and it
they
had
all
a
had this radio
15-minute
app.
radio buffer where you could
And
like
you'd plug it. Your headphones became the antenna. So you'd plug in your headphones and it would catch up. It would catch a signal and then play it.
Does that still exist with current earpods that they sell?
no.
If they still sell earpods?
I don't know.
Well, what do you mean by earpods? It's not an actual antenna. They're just using the wire as an antenna. So any plug-in headphones would
Okay.
work. It's not an Apple branded thing. I mean,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
There's no,
MacGyvering a feature out of something that you make that you didn't really
Right.
intend initially, or at least you could have done something else, but instead you're like,
Uh-huh.
we could just do this with the wire. Like,
A wire. AirPods can't do that now, can they?
No, they can't.
no, they just
No, they can't
refuse to
even-
connect to the right device.
They don't connect to anything. We got to go back.
Yeah. I'm
We
just,
need
this
to
game,
jump
Drew?
back in time.
Did you ever play this game?
I can't.
it's really tiny.
I
from
can't
where
see
we
it
are.
very well,
Speaker
but
on this guy.
I probably did. Is it Vortex
It's
or?
Maze, but yeah, Vortex was another one of those.
Oh yeah, I loved Maze.
I
I
played
played that for
the-
like 3
You
hours
had-
when
you
I
had to use,
got
like,
my
the little
iPod.
gyro sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a whole
I played the one with like the bricks, and then you're the bar on the bomb that the ball's bouncing between your moving brick and then the other
Yeah,
stationary
that's
bricks.
Vortex,
Oh, okay.
and it had a really good song that would play.
I can hear the song right now.
You might be holding the mic right next to the speaker.
I am.
Oh,
let's see.
okay.
Vortex.
I guess quickly going back to like the lineup, the Nano changed
Yeah.
so many different ways. Oh my goodness.
I know how bad it sounds, Nick. Please don't hold the mic next.
Please stop.
It sounds terrible.
I don't like
listened
this
to music
nostalgia.
on that speaker. Ugh, it's such
This
a
is bad
crappy
nostalgia.
speaker.
But it changed so much. It went from like regular screen with a scroll wheel down to fat, down to skinny with a camera, then down to square with just a touchscreen,
Down
then
to
back
fat.
up to a majority of a screen with just a button.
Mm-hmm.
This thing went everywhere.
There were a lot of different approaches.
Yeah. I like the shuffle too.
It must have. It makes sense that I am gonna predict that the A10 chip iPod Touch was done for nostalgic purposes, and Apple said, "We don't need this, but we don't want to kill the iPod because it's such a big chapter in our history, so we're gonna update it so it can get the latest iOS." And that argument didn't win this year because they were like, "Okay, the A10 chip is getting old. I don't think we can keep supporting this much longer." And someone in the iPod hardware team, whoever that is, there's one guy or something, was like,
It's Greg.
"Hey, can we refresh it and give it the A12 or A13 chip?" And they were like, "There's a chip shortage right now, and we're like severely backordered on iPhones, and we can't keep up with silicon. So
Okay.
desperate times. I think we're not going to produce this anymore." And they were like, "Oh," but if there was unlimited chips and infinite money, I bet Apple would have kept it
Yeah.
going. I bet they, well, they have infinite money. That's not a question. It's just chips. supplies.
Honestly,
But
this is total nostalgia Apple fanboy Nick talking, so don't hold me to this.
Hello, total nostalgia Apple fanboy Nick talking. How are you
I
today?
kind of wish Apple would make a classic click wheel iPod for today. Like,
I see a lot of
add in-
results when I googled
I know,
iPod.
yeah, I know everyone wants it, but just like purely for the nostalgia, give us a click wheel and a touch screen. Give us the old classic UI where you know scroll around things. Give us the old games, but allow us to connect AirPods. Yeah, iPod Max, exactly. Like seriously, like give.
If you go
give
on
it-
Google and
yes.
just search iPod Max, everyone will see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
It would be nice, and I don't think they would do it, and I wouldn't expect them to do it. But at the end of the day, you're right, Drew. They have infinite money, so why the heck not? Like, make the love letter to your fans because you know I'd buy it. That's not even a question at this point. But
would it have a headphone jack, of course, or
yeah, sure, why not? Because I'm sure people have.
It's
their
gotta
old
have, like,
headphones, and I have a 30
high
pin
bit
on
rate
it.
audio?
It'll have a 30 pin
And you
on
can
it.
buy 30. You got to buy a 2 terabyte storage configuration. So they're like, this can store 80 billion songs.
You know what? I would buy that.
How big is the
Like-
Apple Music library?
14 million songs, I think. 14.5 million songs.
That'd be a
Okay,
lot of memory.
let's figure this out. How much storage do you need to fit every Apple
So
Music
1,000
song on an
songs
iPod?
fits on 4 gigabytes. So
How many songs are on Apple Music 2022? There are... Man, it's on the debate. 90 million.
All right, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by
We're doing the math.
How
90 million
large?
songs divided by 1.
Well, you could just do it by gig, right?
Is ones.
Calculator.
Roughly 3.2 megabytes.
megabytes. 3.2 megabytes.
That's what it says.
Oh, I see.
3.2
Per song. Yeah.
times
I thought you said all 90 million songs were 3.
million is... Oh my god. So many zeros.
It's 250
200
songs per gigabyte.
288 million megabytes, which means 200... That can't be right. 280... No. 1,000... Okay.
So that-
this has become
so
the
that is-
math show.
288,000 gigabytes, or 288
So-
terabytes. So you could theoretically. I've looked at building out NASs.
Wait, you mean 28 terabytes or 280?
288 terabytes. So you said 90 million songs
Ooh.
at 3.2 megabytes each would be 288 terabytes.
Okay, you're right. Yep. That would be... All right, there may not be an SSD big enough to fit
There's
on
not an
iPod.
SSD big enough, but I have looked into building NASs of that size, and you can totally build a NAS of
A
about
NAS pod.
300 terabytes. Like it
Wow.
would cost you $10,000 or $20,000 to build out a NAS of that size, but you could.
iPod NAS.
Have you seen... This isn't the kind of thing I'd be interested in, but I think it would be something Nick would like. Have you seen the iPod Classic mod
Ooh.
community?
Yes, I have. Oh my gosh,
It's
I love
fascinating.
Those people. Yes.
They've made like
Yes.
2 terabyte iPods.
Yep, with
on there.
like custom cards and like you stick SD cards
Yeah.
into like this custom card and you replace the hard drive. Yeah,
Mhm.
that community is really impressive, to be honest. And like they like add Bluetooth to old iPod classics and stuff, and it's just like wow.
I heard about that. Someone was telling me you can add Bluetooth. How does it even work? I don't get it.
It
Like,
doesn't
does it
integrate
pretend
with the
it's an audio
software.
jack?
You have to like hack in an extra button to the external case, and to pair, you have to push and hold the Bluetooth button on the iPod,
Whoa.
and then pair your headphones.
trippy.
Like it's like a Bluetooth.
So it tricks
speaker.
into
It's pretty
thinking that
bad.
there is something plugged in. That's neat.
So, like, hypothetically, this isn't real, but if Apple wanted to lean into this enthusiast brand, imagine if they just said, "Screw it, we don't care how much this sells."
Mhm.
Like,
Well, and
like
sell
the
it for
concepts
$650.
Mike is sending.
Yeah, like, seriously.
put cameras on the back that are like iPhone grade. Give it LiDAR.
Heck yeah. Just give me an iPhone 13 Pro Max, but at the bottom of the screen there's a click wheel. That's what I want, Apple.
I mean, if I was updating the iPod Touch for the 2020s, you could have like a bezel-less design with no home button
Mm-hmm.
and no Face ID, so no notch.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you want a front-facing camera, but you could just do one eye hole, just one punch
if they
hole.
could remake the 7th gen iPod Nano, make an 8th gen iPod Nano, this is the perfect form factor. It is so thin. It's so
You
light.
thought the 12 mini was small.
No, it is
Try the
so much
iPod
smaller.
Nano.
It's instead of 4 inches, it's 2.5 inches, and it's not about the size. It's the motion of the ocean, guys. And this has Bluetooth, which pushes those electromagnetic waves in beautiful rhythm to get your ear holes full of music.
I just realized Apple killed the Nano and the Touch on the 7th gen.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah. Huh.
Maybe that's why they waited. Like, I don't know what you're sending, Mike. No, those look like AirTag.
Oh, yeah, quite literally. They could just go the opposite route.
Dude.
AirTag style.
No freaking
Where-
way. Where did you find this?
I literally
It
just
stores
looked
music.
up
Holy cow!
iPod
I remember.
concepts.
Okay, Drew. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to make a note. Put this image up in
Alright.
the edit. Okay, guys. I remember this was a concept that I was 100% sure Apple was gonna do that
Was
year.
it going to be
was like
Bluetooth only?
2010. No, it has a headphone on the inside. Look at it. There's like a.
Oh, it does?
It's like a little ear pod. It's like an AirPod.
Oh!
Yeah, you
the
like
I
stick a
see.
quarter in your ear, basically.
Turn
was
the
like-
iPod into the headphone.
I was so sure that this was gonna happen, dude.
How were you
going
going to sync music to it?
Decades. I don't remember. I just remember being like,
Over Wi-Fi?
because I saw that, I was like, what, 10 or 12 or something when I saw this image, like this exact image, and I remember thinking it was like an actual Apple ad, because like I didn't know any better, and I was like, oh wow, that's so cool, like oh wow, and then I found out it wasn't real because I was like looking around on the Apple website for it and I couldn't find it. Oh my gosh.
Back then, there was a lot of false information, unlike now. where
I know,
every
yeah, we
leak
don't
is
have
correct.
any fake
Oh, of
news
course.
here. No.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't. If they did go back, that'd be cool. But I don't think they're going back. I don't think nostalgia is
I
their
think
game.
if they no, I don't think they're going back. But it's fun to hypothesize. Like, if they did want the iPod line to continue, I think you would have to lean into the enthusiast. You couldn't pitch it as a toy, or this is cheaper than an iPhone because iPhones have gotten so cheap. You would have to like lean into nostalgia and give it a click wheel and go all out with the high fidelity audio and tons of storage and make it
Lossless.
kind of pricey. Yeah, it's all lossless playback, and it would very much just be it probably wouldn't be profitable. All of the engineering and manufacturing that would go into it would not justify most people wouldn't buy it. So I get why they don't do that, but it's cool to look at the concept artwork of where they would go with it, like a Ninja Star iPod. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool concepts. I definitely encourage everyone to look up iPod concepts because there's just
There's
they go
some
in all different
hilarious ones.
directions.
I miss this, guys. I legit miss this. Oh,
Yeah.
this is so bad. Why am I doing this to myself? I want to go back and be
I
a
wanna-
kid again and drool over these. Like,
I had other topics, but if you want this to just be an iPod funeral episode, we
please,
can
yes.
Funeral.
This is
Dedicate
the
the whole
eulogy of
episode
the
to-
iPod.
Burying.
do it.
a
It
full
feels wrong
thing.
to bring up other subjects at this point.
I don't know.
iPhone 14 is gonna have a USB-C port.
Next year's 14.
iPod. The iPod comes back with a USB
With
port.
USB-C,
Whoa.
still 3.5 jack, a USB-A port, a FireWire port, and a 30-pin and a Lightning. Just all of the ports along the side. HDMI 2.0.
It's just an
Thunderbolt
adapter at this
4.
SD
point
cards still out. Yeah, just make it a hub.
that plays music.
iPod has existed since before Intel Macs.
Ooh.
It lived through the PowerPC, Intel, and Apple
M1.
Silicon era.
Wow.
Wow.
You know what? I have a concept. Apple Pencil, but iPod.
And what you do to listen to music, there's a little speaker at the end. You just stick it in your ear like that,
The whole thing.
and you just walk around listening to your tunes.
Oh yeah, I do this every time I get something in my ear. The bokeh on my webcam doesn't view the Apple Pencil as real. It blurs it out. It's funny.
It's not
Like,
real.
that's not in focus.
I think it reminds me of
well.
the pens back in the day that would speak to you, like in those little journal things, or maybe the journals spoke or whatever.
Voice.
No.
voice
There's pens.
memos.
Yeah, there's little voice memo pens. You could probably do the
Yeah.
same with an iPod pencil. I don't know. It's sad to
wonder
see it
if-
go, but
Yeah.
I think it was due time.
Yeah, I was long overdue in my opinion. I think it should have gone years ago. But do you think the sales spiked when the news article dropped?
10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, 100%. I
It
guarantee
sounded like
they,
even you guys were thinking about it.
I literally had a few in my cart at the Apple store.
A few.
Yeah, that was I'm glad I didn't, because that's a big waste of money.
Yeah, and it just sit in a drawer.
Pretty much.
It wasn't.
That's
gonna
what
do
happened to
anything.
all iPods. I still get comments here and there of people saying that they use them regularly, but it's still pretty rare, and they're not using the touch. People who are still using them are using Nanos or Classics and that kind of. Like my friend Ross still uses a Nano in his car just because it has a bunch of music preloaded on it, and that's just like his car
That's
stereo.
a good idea. I should do that. Oh, I should do
Because
that.
I think his car has a headphone jack, but his phone doesn't. So, and his car doesn't have Bluetooth, so he just
Oh, I should do
uses
that.
the iPod for everything.
With my Tesla.
Won't work with the Tesla.
Actually, it will. The iPod 7th gen has Bluetooth.
Oh, yeah. You could Bluetooth. I guarantee you would probably be the only person on Earth playing music from the iPod Nano to a Tesla. I wonder how common that is.
Probably not very
That's
common.
got to be rare. First, how tiny? We can fit an 8 terabyte drive onto a pretty small piece of silicon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could do an 8 terabyte iPod and
Yep.
say it fits like 1% of the Apple Music catalog.
So I don't
Can fit on one device.
I don't care about them being internet connected. All I want them to do is just enable you to sync Apple Music playlists that you make up to. They can totally arbitrary. They can stick whatever arbitrary gigabyte limit or song limit they want. Like say 1,000 songs. Like that's their old thing. 1,000 songs in your pocket, and they can be like, yeah, you can sync 1,000 songs and play them offline. Because I don't know why you can't. Because you can play Apple Music offline. I mean, that's a thing. It's in the licensing agreement. Maybe you have to sync it every month or whatever. Fine. But like being able to play that offline would be awesome.
So you're saying they killed the iPod by not supporting this feature?
Yeah.
Well, sales would be better.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the iPhone killed the iPod. No one's debating that. Just like the iPad's killing the MacBook. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did find a concept
Then there
that
were those.
could retrofit an Apple Watch into an iPod-esque case.
Right.
So
I remember seeing those. I don't know how the click wheel works though.
volume.
It's not all that complicated. I mean, they fitted in pretty thin things.
Yeah.
Like mechanically? Or what do you mean?
No, I mean like how does the click wheel influence the WatchOS user interface, the software?
Oh. Could you
Volume.
imagine if it was just a big click wheel? Just the whole Apple Watch display was just a big circle.
You just get watch bands for your iPod Shuffle and then wear it. You could probably use the clip on the back of the Shuffle and just put it on an Apple Watch. Just on the other side, you just have a Shuffle there.
2 screens for when your wrist is one way or the other way.
I also miss the Nano terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it sounds cooler than Mini.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done 12 Mini. They should do iPhone Nano.
The Mac
Or iPad
Nano.
Ooh, there you go. Do like a flash drive Mac that you just plug into the back of a monitor and
It's just a Fire Stick
it's
at that
running
point.
Mac OS. Yeah, the virus is Mac OS.
That'd be cool.
But-
Bring that back. I'll pay homage to the iPod in that manner with
Yeah,
bringing back the naming, but for something comically small.
yes.
That'd be interesting.
The Mac Shuffle.
The Mac Shuffle. It has the click wheel instead of a keyboard, and you just scroll through like a rotary dial phone to get...
Did you ever see the MacBook Wheel video?
No.
Oh my God, Nick, you have to see that.
Okay.
Everybody,
MacBook Wheel.
if you haven't heard of it, go on YouTube and search MacBook Wheel. It's exactly what Nick just described.
Oh gosh. Oh, this is like an old-fashioned 2013 years ago.
This was like 2009.
Oh, man,
this
this
was
is
early Onion. This is what the Onion was
Is
doing.
the MacBook Wheel real? Question mark.
I thought it was real when I first saw
Oh
it.
my
I remember my
gosh.
dad found it and was showing me the video, and I was like, "That doesn't."
I don't see it
I
on
was
the product
confused.
page.
I was like,
Oh
I don't know about that one, Dad. That seems like a bad idea. And he was laughing.
It's a multi-touch click wheel. Oh, I'm dying, guys.
They
Oh,
talk
this is
about how
hilarious.
some guy spent 15 minutes typing an email to his friend because he has to scroll through the keyboard
A,
to get each letter.
D.
One button, endless possibilities.
They had some good concepts. They made it look really
That's
legit in
gorgeous.
that video. It tricked a bunch of people. I tweeted it out a couple years ago, and there were a bunch of people that are like, "Huh, I don't remember that." They thought it was legit.
God.
Apple
But-
went a really weird direction this year. They were really
Apple's
fishing
got-
out
Hopefully
ideas.
they circle back next year.
Oh, well done.
Not with the
Well done.
iPods.
Yeah, true.
Basically, I feel like the iPads already are iPad shuffles because you just buy them and find out what you get via software. You just kind of shake it and then turn
Work.
opens up a random app. I guess I'm using this app now.
Holy cow, that's big.
iPad shuffle.
That's how it
That's what's
works. You shake it
Yeah.
until it gets to the right letter.
There's like there's no touch screen. There's no buttons. It's just you shake it until you get to the app you want. It's like, oh man, that's files. I don't want files.
Picture the iPod Shuffle 3rd generation if it were the size of an iPad.
You can't
It's
touch
just a
it.
giant slab of aluminum with a headphone jack in the end. And you just
It's just a screen.
listen closely.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I have to ask another question because I wanted to ask it.
No more questions.
I'm sorry, ladies
Friday
and
the
gentlemen. Please
13th.
keep your questions to one question and one follow-up question. And we'll be taking our first question from Drew from Goldman Sachs.
Thank you. See, we've done the iPod subject to death, quite literally.
Just like I am.
And Apple. Let's talk about the other most common subject on this show, since this is the last iPod.
I'm worried about
podcast.
the Cybertruck.
Wrong episode.
Do you think-
Wrong podcast.
I was having this conversation with a few people this week. Do you think Apple will ever paywall Apple Silicon performance in the future? Like, they'll develop silicon and they'll put it in hardware, but you'll have to pay extra to unlock the extra GPU cores or RAM, or make the CPU faster by either a subscription or a one-time thing, or it's like they don't let you take full advantage of the silicon. Do you
The
think Apple will ever
M+
stoop to that
program.
level? Yes.
Or subscription or
Will
whatever.
Apple turn their own silicon into M+?
No. No.
Okay.
And I've thought about it as long as you've taken to describe the question here. So let's
So deep
explore
thought.
this deep thought here. No, the initial thought is like, yeah, that does make sense for them to be kind of like Tesla and have more recurring software unlock. Like you buy a MacBook for $2,000, and then 6 months later, like, oh crap, I'm video editing now. Now I need more GPU cores, and then you pay Apple
need to
another
download more RAM.
$1,000. You basically download more RAM.
Literally.
Unlock more performance. That sounds like a good idea, and perhaps maybe they would do it. But the way that they fabricate silicon makes me think that probably would never be viable because the M1 Ultra chip all the way down to the M1 Pro chip is literally the same piece of silicon. It's the same chip layout. It's the same design that goes through its fabrication process. And as errors occur, they all start out as M1 Ultra chips with the fiber network.
That'd be
whatever
very
they need.
expensive.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. They do. They're all fabricated like that. And then the ones that are not right next to each other, that don't have perfect interconnect, those become M1 Max chips. And the M1 Max chips that have a few GPU cores that are broken become the lower tier M1 Max chips. Seriously, no, you guys, no, like this.
They
is the
have.
thing.
I believe you. I know.
This,
it's funny.
This is how the fab works. And then the M1 Max
Basically,
chips
they have
are-
terrible quality control, and they just sell all of the
Yeah.
the bad
Seriously, no, that's how this works. That's how that. I mean, every Intel's been doing this for ages. PowerPC was doing this even before then. So this isn't anything new.
Except they never got the proper one. It's all broken.
Exactly. It was, they started with the i3 and they were trying to work like down from that. And it's like, ooh, well, there's no performance here, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah. So the way that it works, if they get to a point where their lithography is so perfect that every single chip rolling off is an M1 Ultra chip, and it costs them the same to run an M1 Ultra chip as it would to create an M1 Pro chip, then sure, maybe they might unlock those software-wise. But those are two very extremes. I don't think it would be that big of a jump. It would probably be these GPU cores that we're talking about. But the fact that they sell off the bin CPUs, and then their branded CPUs are just bin CPUs of higher spec CPUs. That's how all this works. Like, there's a really good YouTube channel I stumbled across a couple weeks ago, Asianomics. If you guys want to give them a.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
But he has like a ton of stuff on like TSMC and like how all the fabs work, and like the company that makes the fabs is like there's only one company that does that for all of the fab makers, and it's just very interesting like how all this stuff works, and a lot of it is just bin CPUs. Like
So when they unveiled M1, this was the most broken version of the chip they had made.
I think the M1 was specifically
on
different, but when they unveiled the Pro and the Max, those were both bin
Oh,
versions of the Ultra.
Right.
But I think the M1 was
That's fair.
different on a smaller die. But
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm looking at the layout of the chips, and they don't necessarily match if you broke them apart.
So the decision is made which chip becomes, or which part of the silicon becomes which chip during the manufacturing process. And so there are some points where they will look for errors, and if it is having these issues now at this point in the process, will become it'll be fabbed differently or whatever. But no.
It just makes me laugh to think like, let's build M1 Ultras. Okay, this one's broken. Cut it in half and sell it.
Yep.
It's
Wait,
now
this
a
one's
Max.
still broken. Take off a few GPU cores and sell
Oh,
it. Wait,
I
this
accidentally
is still
stepped on
broken.
it. I guess it's now a Pro.
Cut it in half again.
It's like the chips
then
at the
all
bottom
those-
of a chip bag.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
the little
that-
tiny
that's-
ones are the little M1s,
exactly.
and then the less broken
Exactly.
You
ones.
just solved the chip shortage, Mike. Just use the chips at the bottom of the bag.
So there's,
They'll-
can we stitch all the M1s together to make an M1 Pro? A whole chip that I can eat
Right.
that's not the size of my fingernail?
Who knows what they're working on now? Maybe the M1 Ultras are cut in half versions of even better chips. Or
Ubers.
eighth of a chips. Yeah.
M1 Ubers.
What do you think, Mike? Will they ever paywall performance?
No. I agree with Nick. I think
Okay.
if the way that they do it already is already a paywall. Like, consider your certain circumstance where, like, oh, maybe I didn't want the 8 terabyte or whatever you got. You want the 6 terabyte. I guess this is a reverse order, but still, like, let's just say you're in Drew's situation, but you want to upgrade from one to another in terms of cores. You're just going to sell your computer back and then get the one that you want, and Apple gets more money out of the deal rather than them having to manufacture a whole bunch of Ultra chips and then just reduce it down to a Pro level efficiency or performance. That seems a little bit over the top and expensive. It's better for them just to manufacture it, or at least put in the chip that the customer wanted, or at least what they think the customer will want, or some batch of customers will want. And then if they want to upgrade, they can upgrade. But they're not going to do it digitally or unlock it through software. I think, no. They've got enough hardware.
Do you think they'll allow you to buy a higher spec MacBook Pro and then sell back the extra GPU cores?
I took out a few RAM slots or took out a few cords.
I'll play devil's advocate and say if Apple got into the crypto space, they might do that.
Ooh.
Because then they could say, could we use your hardware to mine crypto? We'll reimburse you for letting your computer age a little bit faster.
Mm.
So we'll rev up your GPU cores and
Does Apple
shave
do
off.
that though?
Not currently. They're
Well,
not
I mean, like,
crypto.
is that in their language, or at least like, would that be feasible in Apple's headspace as a company? Or is that just too far away?
I mean, I can't really compare it to anything they're doing currently. They don't do anything really like that now, but I do see Tim very much being the guy that's pushing for services above all. He's all about monthly cost, and they're revving up this iPhone hardware subscription program that we're hearing about that I'm sure is intentional because they know that the hardware is going to get harder and harder to tell the difference every year. So if the hardware progressively becomes similar, okay, all displays are OLED, all displays are 120 hertz, all the silicon is super duper fast. We're on M2, M3, M4, M5, M50. By then, if graphics and chip
BMW.
manufacturing has gotten so cheap, it's gotten so affordable to the point where it might actually start to make sense to say, okay, even if you buy the M12 chip in your latest MacBook Air, your super futuristic, super thin bezeled, behind camera display, OLED 120 hertz MacBook Air, and even if we software limit the performance, it's still faster than the M11 chip. So you're still getting an improvement, and we don't want to complicate manufacturing, so we're just going to keep mass producing M12s. We're going to let you overclock or rev up the thermal limitations of that chip higher if you're willing to pay us $5 a month, $10 a month, and it will export your content faster. Or if Apple's more involved in the crypto space, they could utilize some of your GPU cores and say, this might age your laptop a little bit more because it's going to be running the fans and running the CPU, but we'll reimburse you, maybe not with money, but with iCloud storage.
Hey, actually, I would
run
do that.
your... Yeah?
Actually, seriously,
let
I literally have
mine
an
crypto.
M1 Mac that just sits here uploading things all day. They could mine crypto on it. The M1 chip's not being used, and then that could pay for my iCloud storage.
It'll be some abysmal deal, though. It'll be like every day of mining gives you 10 megabytes of cloud space. So if you mine for a year, you'll get 300 megabytes extra for free.
For 30 days.
That sounds like Apple to me.
And at that point, they'll just
I didn't
be
say
like,
it sounds right.
No,
It
wait,
sounds
hold
like
on.
Apple.
At that point, they just be like, and we'll donate some money to an environmental cause. So it's
An
a win for
environment.
the environment.
We will give it to the environment.
The environment of our shareholders.
There you go.
Yeah.
The
That's
Apple,
a win for the
Apple
environment,
Park
too.
environment.
Apple will create their own cryptocurrency and then find a way to milk it through their Mac because they have so many Apple Silicon Macs out there that are just sitting around doing nothing. They could all be mining crypto in the background when we're not using them. And yep, that's it.
The crypto subscription.
So time will tell who's right and wrong, but I'm under the belief they will. Everyone I've asked has said no. They'll always just let you use the full performance, but I don't know when. I don't know how long it'll take, but I do think we'll reach a point in time when they're like, unlock the CPU with this additional
Download more RAM.
fee. Download more RAM. Yep.
Jeez.
I believe it.
That'd be a weird future. I don't know if I want to live in that future.
It'll be sad. I agree.
I'd rather just be forced to figure out how to sell my computer for a decent price and then buy a new computer because that's
just keep it to hardware limited, not software limited, basically.
Yes, I guess that's what I'm trying to describe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you taking photos with your iPod?
It's not even an iPod. You're just excited for the iPhone's still a thing, Nick.
I don't know. After the
Will it be,
15...
After they get USB-C on the iPhone, will it still be a thing? We don't know.
I'm so happy about that, to be honest. Now that Bloomberg is also reporting the same thing as Quo, I'm like, I thought I was crazy. They called me a madman. I was ranting for years about how much sense it would make on the iPhone and why portless is terrible for the e-waste argument and it's not a selling point, it's a drawback, and Lightning sucks. And now that there's finally like credible sources claiming they're going to do it next year, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
I think it's definitely more feasible for them to switch to a different charging hardware than just eliminate it. Because
especially in the EU.
Yeah. At least under Tim Cook's version of Apple, they're a little bit more they're a little bit less shocking with their updates. So it's not like going from 30 pin to Lightning or ever. Or just
well, he did oversee that, but has been a lot of management change since then. Like Phil's gone, Johnny Ive is gone. So there's definitely been a lot more listening. I think it's fair to say, where they're like, oh, people like the SD card slot. People like HDMI.
They're a little bit less liberal with their changes. They're a lot more conservative going from one version to the next, even though that just means usually a bigger camera sensor.
Right. That's it this year.
I think it definitely makes sense just switching out the port from a Lightning to a USB-C and saying, well, you guys have USB-C plug or cables already because we've been selling those to you. So
for like 7 years.
Yeah, so just use it versus
just use what we got. It'll come with a cable, I'm sure, or an adapter, just like the headphone jack adapter came with the 7. But do you guys think if let's say for a minute we just assume the leaks are true, because that's never hurt anything, right? All the
dreams.
All the iPhone 15s have Type-C. Let's just say that happens. Is this the first device in 2023 that switches from Lightning to USB-C, or leading up to the iPhone 15, are they going to get rid of Lightning across everything? Like, switch to USB-C Siri remote, switch to USB-C keyboard, mice, like AirPods. Like, there's so many Lightning ports on the website we still have to get rid of. Do you think they'll do that after the iPhone or before, or
I think progressively over time. I think maybe iPhone might usher that change to all the other devices.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be immediate. I think just like how the iPad slowly went to USB-C and now the iPhone is following suit, I think the same will happen with everything else. It'll give people time to transition so that way they have an excuse to say, now the AirPods come with a USB-C plug instead of a Lightning. And we've already given you enough time. We're not going to ship a cable with it. But yeah.
So, I think the iPhone So back when they switched from 30 pin, right? They did it first on the iPhone 5, and then like 3 months later they did it on the iPad 4 and iPad Mini.
Oh, that's right. That upset a bunch of people.
Yeah, because they just bought the iPad 3 like 6 months.
It wasn't very old
or whatever. Yeah, it was pretty much brand new, and it was exactly the same thing, just with a different. Was it even a different chip? I can't even remember. It was just Lightning was the big feature of it, the iPad 4.
I want to say it was the same chip, but
but the problem is, like, back then they didn't use a lot of. Apple itself didn't use 30 pin as a way to charge accessories. So like there were adapters and accessories that plugged into 30 pin, but those were all like the camera adapter or like that one keyboard that plugged into the 30 pin on the iPad, or like the iPod dock or whatever. Like those were all Apple made accessories that were supporting a 30 pin device. There weren't a lot of like trackpads or like independent accessories that were using 30 pin as a charging standard.
True.
And so I don't know. Like it doesn't make sense for them to update every single accessory all at once, or even frequently to support USB-C. Well, like, so if you bought a brand new iMac and, you know, came with a keyboard and mouse that charge over Lightning, and then just a few months later, it's like, oh, and by the way, everything is now USB-C, you'd feel kind of screwed. And obviously they're going to have to do it at some point. I'd hope they would do it at some point. But I think it'll just be as a part of whatever next refresh. So the Siri remote, hopefully, assuming the leaks are true, which we don't do that around here, hopefully the next Siri remote refresh would have USB-C. And it just be like next time they're getting around to updating something, it will switch from Lightning to USB-C. So I don't see this transition as being very fast, honestly, because Apple has so many Lightning accessories. Like they still sell the first gen Apple Pencil, and it still works on one of the supportive, like the brand. You can go buy a brand new iPad that requires the first gen Apple Pencil to support Apple Pencil, which was released in 2015, which is like we're pushing on 7 years on that one. So like 7 years? No, did I add that wrong?
True. No, yeah, it was 2015. Wow. But also they're most
Wow.
But still most iPads are Type C now, even though they still sell that Apple Pencil. Like everything except the budget one is switched to Type C. So I think you're probably right. I don't think it'll happen all at once, but I'm still in favor of it happening all at once. I think that would be the best. Like just kind of line up everything right. You know, the budget iPad always gets refreshed with the new iPhone. New iPhone comes out. Maybe that's also when you're ready for AirPods 4, because we're not talking about this September. We're talking about next September. So we've got a ways to go for new headphones to come out. So you could do new AirPods, maybe a new Apple TV update, and a new budget iPad and the new iPhones all in one refresh. Type C, Type C, Type C, and they brag all about Type C. I feel like you could knock out most of the Lightning stuff. I guess you would have to wait a while for the Mac, but I feel like anybody getting any Lightning accessories now feels screwed, even though the announcement hasn't been made. I mean, look at how you charge this thing. You'll be used to Type C. I mean, there's already Type C ports on the back, so I mean, they're around. People have USB-C cables. To me, it would be a much easier transition than 30-pin to Lightning, because Lightning was brand new. There was not a single Lightning cable in existence, and then they came out with that phone, and they were like, it needs this. And everyone was like, because back then you had all the iHome docks, you know?
Yeah.
You'd plug your iPods in, and all those docks became useless instantly. It was like, nope, can't use that anymore.
We switched to Lightning a decade ago already. Oh my gosh.
That's why a lot of people thought they were going to switch.
I am so flippin' old.
Because I think Phil, when they announced it, said that this was the connector that was going to last them the next decade. Some people took that as a literal 10 years. I didn't interpret it that way, but I guess if they switch to Type C next year, that would mean Phil Schiller was correct. Very accurate
leaker. He doesn't even work there anymore, so
I know.
Who cares about what Dude, and I'm watching like all these old Apple events, and like Baby Tim gets up there, and like Baby Craig, and like, and then Johnny's there too, and I'm just like, Johnny,
back
I miss you.
1968.
Oh yes, because that's when they were releasing all these beautiful products to us.
It's like what's that TV show, Baby? I don't know.
Boss Baby?
Yeah, Boss Baby. Yeah. Is that a TV show? Anyway, like we're just all the babies are running the company. It's like Tim Cook is a baby.
Oh my god.
That's not the case right now.
So, you were way too good at that. I think you bring up a good point that Lightning was introduced on the iPhone before anything else. So, if they do switch to Type C, they agree that Lightning needs to die. It would probably die on the iPhone first, and then everything else would come after. It would be like and you'll see sales of all devices with Lightning drop substantially, because it'll be
it's already happened before. From Lightning on this to USB-C. It's just the trend is continuing. It's just been a while since we've had the change. So it's a reintroduction.
iPad Mini was the last one, I think.
Yeah. So.
But it wasn't that big a stretch because the iPad switched to Type C in 2018, and then it was just a matter of, okay, they're bringing that down to the rest of the lineup. Now there's only one left. It's pretty reasonable cause and effect to say that, okay, all iPads used to have Lightning. Now only one has Lightning. I wonder where this is going, you know? I get the feeling that some cheap, very hardly touched Apple product will have Lightning for an absurd amount of time, and Apple will like not refresh it for a while. Something like the Siri remote or the Magic Mouse. It'll be like, okay, the iPhones are on Type-C and the AirPods are on Type-C, but why is the Magic Mouse still Lightning? And we'll be asking, like, when are they going to fix this? Well, into 2024, we're waiting.
Where's
for the
AirPower?
USBC. Yeah.
Where's AirPower, Drew?
AirPower will switch to Type-C.
Phil Schiller said
even
it was
doesn't
coming.
exist.
That's why he got
AirPower
fired.
switches to Type-C. It doesn't exist, but it'll switch to Type-C. Believe me.
Would you?
Be a good question.
Would y'all be down for a tri-folding MagSafe Duo? So a MagSafe Trio?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a third-party one.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Okay, I might
There's
Yeah,
a
there's
bunch.
another company that made
Because
one.
now that with those new, thank you, Mike, also for sending that link to the AirPods, because the new AirPods Pro that I got from that link you sent from Amazon for really cheap came with the MagSafe ones, and so I've been charging them wirelessly exclusively now because it's a lot more satisfying now that it clicks onto the pad.
It's so nice.
The old one, it was kind of always just like, yeah, did I get it right? Did I get it right? And half the time I didn't, but like now they're always charging. So I charge these exclusively via MagSafe, right next to my bed, and it's just like I have a MagSafe Puck and then a Duo, and I'm just like, I want a Trio. Gosh darn it, Apple.
Yeah, I don't think I charge my AirPods enough that I would be charging all three at once. I typically am like, I'm either charging the AirPods or I'm charging the phone. I'm rarely charging both. So I don't think, like, I think a Trio should exist. I'm just saying I wouldn't buy one if it came out. I have lived very comfortably with the Duo. Just,
Yeah.
it's rare that I've been like, I need to charge these, but I need to also charge these.
Yeah.
I also have more than one MagSafe puck, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, in our case, we have a bunch of cables already, and because
Right.
the AirPods come with a port that you can plug into, which is Lightning, basically we just have the the AirPod charging corner in our house in the kitchen where we charge them there, and then in our bedrooms we've got the phone and watch chargers. So, and it makes sense
like
because when we're on our way out the door, it's all right there to.
Right.
It's there to pick up right before we leave, but when we wake up, of course, we're going to pick up our phone
Yeah.
when we're getting ready for the day. So
It's like having a stove, your stovetop with all these little
AIB
circles.
for that. All the little circles.
yeah,
MagSafe Quadro.
quad.
MagSafe.
Just
Performer.
air power at this point. If you get to Quadro, just air power it.
AirPower with MagSafe, because there's circles on it. You just have 6 circles,
That's what
his
it's
and
turned
hers,
into. Yeah.
because you have a watch charger for each of you, a phone charger for each of you, an AirPods charger for each of you on one plate. Call it the Apple. No, the MagSafe nightstand. That's what I would brand it.
The tree house.
Ah.
Because it's like an apple tree of charging.
The Macintosh.
What?
What?
That's a good
Wow.
idea.
Full circle here, ladies and gentlemen. We're back
You
on
go
the
full
Mac.
circle. Well, I hope the USB-C rumors are true, but for the record, I would not upgrade my iPhone for USB-C because I do charge it pretty much exclusively via MagSafe. So while I think it's a great idea, it's like if you're gonna have a port, give it Type-C. I'm not like, because I just want to set the record straight because a bunch of people were like, "Oh, Drew, that means you're getting the 15 now, right?" And it's like, no, it's a good idea, but I wouldn't use it. So.
Yeah, I thought about it as well because the 14 is going to be my next phone. I'm like, do I wait for the 15 based off of a leak? Nah.
That is dangerous
I'm good.
because the leak isn't confirmed. So
But everyone
you
says
use
it's
MagSafe
confirmed.
anyway,
Yeah, I use MagSafe. I use MagSafe without using MagSafe because
right? You don't even.
I don't have
Have
it,
the
and
ring,
sometimes
which
the
is-
phone doesn't charge, and that's okay because there's a wireless charger at my work that I use. So
Oh, that's good.
no matter
I thought
what,
you're just like, it doesn't work. That's okay.
The Tesla
I don't
has
need
it.
a phone.
that's all right.
When is Tesla gonna support MagSafe?
I'm sure there is a
Please.
third-party accessory for that somewhere. Maybe Jada will make it or something else.
Couldn't you buy a MagSafe ring and like glue it to the charger in the center console?
It wouldn't sit flush, so it'd just look weird.
It
Or
would, but it would.
you could get the Jada wireless charging pad for it, and then all you do is cut a hole in it, or you just make your own. At this point, you just make
You're
your
like,
own.
it wouldn't look flush. Just cut a hole in it. That's much better. Nick, would you put MagSafe on your Tesla?
Yes, I would love to charge my Tesla via MagSafe. It would take probably at,
That's not what I meant.
5.5 watts, or is it 7.5 watts
He was
charging?
too busy in
It will-
nostalgia land.
I know, yeah. Actually, I was looking
Nostalgia
at
with
I was
his
looking at work
iPhone
stuff,
13.
but no, I would love to have it instead of the wireless charger because I'm an Apple sheep, and if anyone's getting in my car, they better have an iPhone, so they better be a late gen iPhone with MagSafe. I've seen a lot of people have like the third-party accessories that like clip on onto the display with like a MagSafe connector, and you like pop your phone on that. I'm
There you
not a
go.
fan of that. It breaks the clean design of the like. I'm glad that the phone charger's down where it's at.
Yeah,
I'm not about.
I wouldn't
that.
get the accessory.
Yeah, but it would be nice if there's a MagSafe down there. I guess I don't know. Doesn't change
I
my
would-
life too much.
The Cybertruck doesn't currently have a place for phones because of the screen and the
Yep.
6-seater layout. So I would like little MagSafe arms, like the metal ones that are solid, and you can swing them out from behind the display and magnetically attach the phone, so it's right beneath the display, like it would be on a Tesla, but a normal Tesla. But then when you don't want your phone there, you don't want it to charge, you can pull it off and swing the MagSafe arm back behind the screen. Someone can make that for me. I
Those
just
already
threw it
exist.
out there.
Except
I
they
haven't
just
seen
don't charge yet. They're just mounts. But I'm sure you
Well,
can
Just mounts.
put a wire through it.
This would be an arm, yeah, and it would charge it.
Yeah. Abstract Ocean has a
wouldn't-
few options.
I think
Oh, there
Abstract
you go.
Ocean actually had a charging one too. I was looking at
Oh, they
that.
do?
It looked
cool.
kind of new, and I think it was
Well,
out
there
of
you
stock when I
go.
was first looking at it.
It's just so awkward when you have to route the cable into the USB port.
Yep. Yeah.
It'd be so much cleaner to just have that baked in. That's why I wouldn't buy the accessory, because I'd have all these cables hanging out anywhere.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's neither.
we'll save that for the EV podcast.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely go re-record that whole show.
Any closing thoughts, gents, on this iPod funeral?
Rest in peace.
What was your favorite Steve Jobs like moment on the keynotes with iPods?
When he told everyone to turn off their Wi-Fi. Except that was a different
a good one.
spot of
So
the
was the
keynote.
iPhone, but I remember when he was bragging about how I thought it was very self-aware when he said, a lot of people call the iPod Touch an iPhone without a cell plan. I was like, yep, that's what all my friends call it. This is just an iPhone. And it was cool to see him acknowledge that on stage. That and the part about them using the Nano as a watch
Yes.
stood out to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's my favorite. How about you?
Foreshadowing. For me, it was definitely when. I guess I should have thought about that.
He thought of the question, but not the answer.
Yeah, not the
Ooh.
answer. That's life. I don't know. There's quite a few special moments there. I really like the. Was it the? He did the 6th gen the Nano with the fingers, and he held it upside down. He was like showing how you rotate it, like when you turn the Nano around, you use
Yeah,
the
you can
fingers
just
to
spin
rotate
it.
And
That was
he rotated
awesome.
the screen. The iPod was upside down in his hand, and he rotated the screen, and then the screen up on the big screen was still upside down or something, like it was backwards.
Oh.
So he was like, and then you just scroll around and look around, like the screen's all like backwards, and it's like if some guy in the crowd says you're upside down, and he said I live most of my life like that, and then he changed the orientation so it's correct on the
I don't
screen.
remember that. Oh my
I
God.
know,
I want to
yeah.
go back and watch it.
I was like, oh, that was fun. But yeah,
Behind the scenes,
that's Steve.
tech support is going, oh my God.
We're all fired.
They had to find a way to screen capture that thing. That must have been fun.
Yeah, Gary.
They're
that guy on the
manually
keynote.
rotating the capture.
They're rotating the projector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh boy.
Oh.
that was a good.
I
Also,
miss
just
you
the
at iPod.
reveal. He took it out of his pocket at that presentation back in 2001, and everyone was like, "Whoa!" He also had one where he was like, "Jeans have this little
Yeah, it was-
sub pocket within the pocket," and I think we figured out what that's for. And then he pulls out was it the shuffle?
It was the first Nano.
The first Nano.
The first
He's just
Nano.
like, we found out what
So-
that pocket's for, and he pulls it out real slow.
It's on
seductive.
in his pocket.
He pulls it out. It's upside down.
It's upside down.
Live most of my life that way. Underrated Steve Jobs quote.
Miss you, Steve. I'm gonna miss you, iPods.
Jimmy
Thank you all
Carter's
for joining
97
us.
years old.
There's Randy.
We love you, Randy.
Knew he was here. Hope you have an excellent rest of your week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.